Lieutenant Commander Ashley Mitchell stared at her reflection in the elevator's polished walls, wondering if her superiors had finally lost their minds. The mission briefing still rang in her ears. Foster diplomatic relations through joint military exercises. With a Chronaxian. Of all species. The elevator chimed, its doors sliding open to reveal her new partner. Ashley's breath caught in her throat. She'd seen Chronaxians in videos before, but nothing prepared her for standing 3 feet away from one. The alien warrior had to duck to enter the elevator, its chitinous armor plates gleaming under the soft lighting. 4 compound eyes studied her with an unsettling intensity. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell, the Chronaxian's translator crackled. I am Combat Specialist Kovacs. Pleasure, Ashley managed, pressing the button for the training deck. The doors closed with a soft whoosh, trapping her in a metal box with an alien species known for their acid glands and devastating strength. Perfect. The elevator began its descent through the massive space station. Ashley tried to focus on anything except how Kovacs's mandibles kept twitching. Her mind drifted to the briefing, where Admiral Torres had explained the situation with his usual bluntness. The Galactic Council's getting nervous, he'd said. Humans and Chronaxians are the only species from Class 12 Deathworlds who've made it to space. They think we're too dangerous to leave unchecked, but too valuable to exclude from galactic trade. This partnership program is their solution. The elevator shuddered, lights flickering. Ashley's hand instinctively went to her sidearm as the car ground to a halt. Mechanical failure, Kovacs stated, mandibles clicking. How inconvenient. Right, Ashley muttered, hitting the emergency comm button. Nothing happened. She pressed it again, harder this time. Still nothing. Your human technology appears unreliable, Kovacs observed, acid dripping from his mandibles and sizzling against the floor. Hey, watch the acid. Ashley snapped. And this isn't human tech. It's standard Galactic Council issue. Kovacs's compound eyes shifted, focusing on her face. You sound defensive, human. And you sound condescending, Chronaxian. Ashley crossed her arms, leaning against the wall. But at least I'm not the one burning holes in the floor. To her surprise, Kovacs made a sound that might have been laughter. Fair point. He retracted his acid glands, the dripping stopping. Though I notice your hand hasn't left your weapon. Ashley forced herself to relax her grip on the pistol. Force of habit. We humans tend to get nervous in small spaces with apex predators. Amusing, Kovacs clicked. On my world, we tell our hatchlings stories about humans. How you can run down any prey through sheer endurance. How you use your sweat to regulate temperature like some kind of biological cooling system. Most terrifying of all, you can eat almost anything by processing it with acid inside your bodies. Ashley blinked. You're scared of stomachs, says the species unnerved by external acid glands. The elevator shuddered again, dropping several inches before catching itself. Warning lights flashed red. This isn't normal, Ashley said, pulling up the emergency panel's wiring. Help me check the circuitry. Kovacs moved closer, his natural bioluminescence providing extra light. The primary power coupling has been severed. He pointed with one clawed appendage. Clean cut. Ashley's combat training kicked in. This wasn't a mechanical failure. Someone sabotaged the elevator. Agreed. Kovacs's mandibles clattered in what she was beginning to recognize as agitation. The question is, are they trying to kill us both, or hoping we'll kill each other? The elevator groaned ominously. We can figure that out later, Ashley said, prying open the ceiling hatch. Right now, we need to climb. She looked at her alien partner. Unless you'd rather stay and test how well the chitin armor holds up against a 30-story fall. Kovacs's mandibles curved in what might have been a smile. After you, Lieutenant Commander. I'm curious to see if humans really are as good at surviving as the stories say. Just try to keep up. Ashley grinned, grabbing the first handhold. And please, Don't drip acid on me while we climb. The training simulator hummed to life around Ashley and Kivek's, holographic environments shimmering into existence. After their elevator escape, station security had found nothing conclusive, just another mechanical failure, according to the maintenance logs. The scenario is simple. The instructor's voice echoed through the chamber. Clear the terrorist stronghold, rescue the hostages, minimize collateral damage. Ashley checked her training weapon. I'll take point. Move fast and quiet. Unacceptable. Kivek interrupted, his massive frame blocking her path. Chronaxian battle doctrine demands overwhelming force. We strike hard, eliminate all resistance, and get the hostages killed in the process. Ashley snapped. This isn't your homeworld where everything's built like a tank. Better than your human stealth games. Kivek's mandibles clattered. The enemy cannot harm hostages if they are swiftly eliminated. The simulation started before Ashley could argue further. A decrepit space station materialized around them, emergency lights casting red shadows across corroded walls. Ashley darted forward, keeping to cover. Kivek stomped behind her, his natural armor clanking against debris. She gritted her teeth. Could you be any louder? Could you be any slower? He shot back. On Chronax, hesitation means death. Yeah. Well, this isn't. Ashley froze, raising her fist in a warning signal. Voices echoed from around the corner. She pressed against the wall, listening. Kivek ignored her signal completely, charging past with acid glands extended. The holographic terrorists opened fire. Training rounds pinged off his armor as he barreled into them, spraying acid in wide arcs. Damn it. Ashley rolled from cover, taking precise shots at the enemies Kivek had missed. Her speed and accuracy dropped 3 targets before they could react. Hostages located, Kivek announced, smashing through a sealed door. See. Overwhelming force works. The door's collapse triggered hidden explosives. The simulation flashed red. Mission failed, the computer announced. Hostages. Deceased. Collateral damage. Excessive. Ashley threw her training weapon down. Happy now? Your overwhelming force just got everyone killed. If you had supported my charge instead of hiding, it's called tactical positioning, you oversized beetle. Beetle. Kivek's acid glands flared. At least I don't need artificial protection, soft skin. From the observation deck above, laughter echoed. A group of various alien species watched their argument with obvious amusement. Place your bets, a tentacled saurian called out. Which Deathworlder snaps first? The acid sprayer or the endurance predator? 3 credits on the human, someone shouted. They're always looking for a fight. 5 on the Chronaxian, another voice joined in. Did you see how it smashed through that door? Totally unstable. Ashley and Kivek fell silent, looking up at their audience. The betting continued, each suggestion more outlandish than the last. 10 credits says they kill each other before the week's out. 20 says the human uses those weird tool things they always carry. 50 says the Chronaxian goes berserk and melts half the station. Kivek's mandibles twitched. They fear us. No, Ashley said quietly. They're waiting for us to prove them right. She turned to her partner. Reset the simulation. This time, we do it together. You suggest compromise? Kivek asked, compound eyes studying her face. I suggest we show them what Deathworlders can really do. The simulation reset. This time, Ashley pointed to Kivek's acid glands. Can you control the spray pattern? Of course. Our hatchlings learn precision before potency. Good. Here's the plan. You provide covering fire, precise, controlled bursts. I'll flank and take out key targets while they're distracted. We move as a unit, combining your strength with my speed. Kivek considered for a moment, then nodded. An acceptable strategy. But something is wrong with this station's systems. Did you notice the power fluctuations during our first attempt? Yeah, Ashley frowned. Just like the elevator. But that's not part of the simulation, is it? Above them, the betting continued. Neither warrior noticed the shadow that slipped away from the observation deck, or the small device it planted near the simulator's power core. After 6 successful simulations, Ashley and Kivex found themselves in the station's maintenance tunnels, following up on the power fluctuations they'd noticed. The narrow passage barely accommodated Kivex's bulk, forcing him to walk sideways, while Ashley led the way with a light. "Your theory about sabotage is logical," Kivex admitted, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "But why target training systems? Testing responses, maybe." Ashley swept her light across a junction box. Or, she stopped abruptly, causing Kivex to bump into her. Blood. On the wall. The crimson smear led to a maintenance alcove. Inside, they found the body of a Centaurian technician, his 4 arms contorted in death. "No acid burns," Kivex observed, examining the scene. "A relief, considering the rumors already spreading about us." Ashley knelt beside the body, her combat training kicking in. Blunt force trauma. Someone caught him by surprise. She pointed to scattered tools. He was working on something. Kivex's compound eye shifted, focusing on different light spectrums. The killer left traces, electromagnetic residue from non-standard equipment. His mandibles twitched. Similar patterns to what I detected in the elevator shaft. "You can track that?" Ashley asked, impressed despite herself. Chronaxian warriors evolved to hunt plasma-based predators. Their trails linger for those who know how to look. He tilted his head. As humans tracked prey through physical signs, yes. Yeah. Footprints, broken branches, scattered rocks. Ashley stood, dusting off her knees. "We called it deductive reasoning, building a picture from small details." "Show me." Ashley pointed to scuff marks on the floor. "See how they're all facing one direction. Our technician friend was dragged here after death. And these tool marks." She indicated scratches on a panel. "He was trying to fix something when he was attacked." Kivex's mandibles curved in what she now recognized as approval. "Combined with my electromagnetic tracking, we can follow both the killer's trail and figure out what the victim discovered," Ashley finished. 2 Deathworlder hunting styles are better than one. They moved deeper into the maintenance section, Kivex leading when electromagnetic traces were strong, Ashley taking point when physical evidence appeared. The trail led them through increasingly restricted areas. "These security seals," Ashley muttered, examining a door. "They're council grade. Our killer has high-level access. The residue pattern changes here," Kivex added. "Multiple individuals. A coordinated team." A distant clang echoed through the tunnels. Both warriors instinctively moved to defensive positions, Ashley behind cover and Kivex presenting his armored side toward the sound. "Your heart rate increased," Kivex noted. "I can smell the adrenaline." "Creepy," Ashley whispered. "But useful. How many can you detect ahead?" 3 distinct electromagnetic signatures, moving with purpose. His acid glands extended slightly. "They know these tunnels well." Ashley checked her sidearm. "Real weapons this time. No more simulation rounds." "Good." Kivex's mandibles clicked eagerly. Finally, honest combat. "We need one alive," Ashley reminded him. "For questioning." Before Kivex could respond, the station's gravity shifted. Ashley felt herself starting to float and grabbed a support beam. Kivex's claws dug into the wall, anchoring him. "The sabotage continues," he growled. "They're targeting critical systems now." Through the weightless environment, voices drifted toward them. Someone speaking in quick, harsh whispers. Timeline accelerated. Deathworlders discovered. Terminate the program. Ashley and Kivex exchanged looks. The human nodded toward a junction ahead, then pointed to herself and made a circling motion. Kivex responded by extending his acid glands just slightly. Acknowledgement. As they prepared to confront their enemies in zero gravity, Ashley allowed herself a grim smile. 2 days ago, She would have balked at trusting a Chronaxian at her back. Now, floating in the darkness with killers ahead, she couldn't think of a better partner. Sometimes, the galaxy had a twisted sense of humor. Zero-gravity combat was nothing like the simulations. Ashley pushed off the wall silently, letting momentum carry her around the junction, while Kivex provided the perfect distraction. All 400 pounds of armored Chronaxian, charging straight ahead, acid spraying in controlled bursts. The saboteurs scattered, their stealth advantage lost. 3 figures in dark environmental suits, faces hidden behind polarized masks. They moved with practiced ease in Zerog, drawing weapons. Council Special Operations, Ashley realized, recognizing their movement patterns. She lined up a shot, aiming for the nearest suit's propulsion unit. Kivex, watch thee. The station lurched. Emergency lights flashed as artificial gravity returned at 30% strength. Ashley's shot went wide as she dropped, but she rolled with the impact, coming up firing. Kivex didn't miss a beat. His claws found purchase on the metal floor, acid striking one attacker's weapon. The gun dissolved with a hiss, along with part of the environmental suit's glove. A distinctly non-council shriek of pain echoed through the tunnel. Mercenaries, Kivex snarled, wearing stolen equipment. The lead mercenary raised a hand. Strike Team Beta, execute Protocol 7. Ashley's blood ran cold. She recognized that voice from somewhere. Before she could place it, all 3 attackers threw devices against the walls. Red lights blinked in sequence. Breaching charges, she shouted. The explosions came from all directions. Hull integrity warnings screamed through the station's comm system. Wind howled as atmosphere began venting through multiple breaches. The mercenaries kicked off the walls, fleeing through the chaos. They're trying to space us, Ashley grunted, fighting the pull of vacuum. Her magnetic boots engaged with a click, anchoring her. Kivex. The Chronaxian had wedged himself into a doorway. Acid glands extended. The hull breaches follow a pattern. They're pushing us toward. A massive explosion rocked the station. Klaxons wailed as emergency bulkheads started slamming shut. Life support failure in sections 12 through 15. The station's AI announced calmly. Emergency protocols engage. All personnel evacuate immediately. Ashley's tactical mind raced. They're not trying to kill us. They're creating a panic. She activated her wrist computer, pulling up the station schematic. These sections connect to the civilian quarters. Kivex's compound eyes flickered rapidly. The other species cannot survive environmental failures like we can. They're forcing an evacuation, Ashley realized. Using our chase to trigger it. But why? Her question was answered by screams echoing through the station's corridors. Civilian residents fled in terror as emergency systems blared warnings. In the chaos, she caught fragments of panicked conversations. Deathworlders fighting. Whole section destroyed. They finally snapped. Kivex's mandibles clicked in frustration. They're blaming us for the damage. Perfect cover for sabotage, Ashley agreed. We have to split up. Agreed. You pursue the mercenaries, while you help evacuate civilians, Ashley finished. At Kivex's surprised look, she smiled. They'll trust my human appearance more than your warrior form. And you're stronger. You can carry injured civilians easily. Kivex considered this, then nodded. Your logic is sound. But the mercenary leader, I recognize her voice too. Just can't place it yet. Ashley checked her weapon. Stay in radio contact. And Kivex, try not to melt anything important. Try not to break anything with your human recklessness, he shot back, already moving toward the sound of panic. Ashley pushed off down the corridor, following the mercenaries' trail. The station shuddered again as more systems failed. She forced herself to focus on the hunt, but one thought kept nagging at her. The saboteurs were too well prepared. They knew exactly how to manipulate the station's systems, the civilian response, and most importantly, how to use everyone's fear of Deathworlders against them. This wasn't just about her and Kivex anymore. Someone was playing a much bigger game, and they were all running out of time to figure out what it was. Ashley's boots clicked against metal grating as she moved through the maintenance shafts. Her quarry was good. They'd split up after the hull breach, forcing her to choose which trail to follow. But they'd made one critical mistake. They assumed she was hunting alone. Kvek's status, she whispered into her comm. Civilian evacuation proceeding. His voice crackled with static. Though some refuse to approach a dangerous Chronaxian, humans are equally stubborn about accepting help. Try smiling less. Your mandible thing freaks them out. I was attempting to be friendly, Kvek grumbled. Any sign of our prey? Ashley paused at a junction, examining scuff marks on the wall. They're hurting us. These routes all lead to the station's central processing core. Curious. The electromagnetic trails show similar convergence. Wait. Kvek's voice sharpened. Movement in Section 23. 3 signatures matching our mercenaries. That's impossible. Ashley checked her map. I'm tracking 2 of them in Section 17. Silence stretched for a moment. Then both warriors spoke simultaneously. There's more than 3. A slow clap echoed through the corridor. Ashley spun, weapon raised, to find a figure standing at the far end. The environmental suit was gone, revealing a familiar face. Lieutenant Santos. Ashley lowered her gun slightly. You're stationed on Earth. Was stationed on Earth. Santos smiled. Until I received a better offer. You see, some of us recognize the threat Deathworlders pose. Your kind simply can't be allowed to gain more influence. Our kind. Ashley kept her comm channel open, knowing Kvek could hear everything. Humanity survived and thrived on a world that tried to kill us every day. We learned to adapt, to protect, to conquer. Santos cut her off. Just like the Chronaxians, 2 species that turned everything into a weapon. Even now, you've weaponized each other's abilities, working together. She shuddered. You're proving exactly why you need to be stopped. Movement behind Ashley. 2 more figures emerged from side passages, weapons trained on her. Not mercenaries this time. Council special operations. The real ones. The Council sanctioned this. Ashley's mind raced. No, you're running a rogue operation. The Council's too afraid to act decisively. They'll thank us once it's done. Santos raised her own weapon. Nothing personal, Commander. But Deathworlders working together. That's a nightmare scenario we can't allow. Ashley smiled. Speaking of nightmares. Acid sprayed from an overhead vent, catching one operative in the face. Kvek burst through the ceiling panel, his bulk sending the other operative sprawling. Ashley was already moving, rolling past Santos' shot, and coming up with an elbow strike that shattered the lieutenant's nose. You followed the electromagnetic trail I left. Kvek clicked appreciatively, pinning his target, while they followed my obvious physical trail. Ashley secured Santos' weapons. Basic Deathworlder hunting tactics. Works every time. The Council will never let you prove anything. Santos spat blood. We have operatives throughout the station. Right now there. The station's lights flickered. A new alarm blared. Warning. Reactor containment protocols compromised. Core meltdown imminent. How many? Ashley grabbed Santos' collar. How many operatives? Enough. The lieutenant grinned through bloody teeth. Enough to ensure that when this station dies, everyone will blame the 2 Deathworlders who couldn't control their violent nature. Kvek's mandibles clattered in what Ashley now recognized as his battle rhythm. Then we will show them something else Deathworlders do well. Survive, Ashley nodded. She keyed her comm to the station's emergency frequency. This is Lieutenant Commander Mitchell. We have a code black in the reactor core. Security teams to containment immediately. This is not a drill. The reactor chamber is sealed. Santos laughed. You'll never reach it in time. Ashley looked at Kvek. They really don't understand Deathworlders, do they? No. Kvek's acid glands extended fully. They do not. The reactor corridor blazed with emergency lighting as Ashley and Kuvex approached the sealed containment doors. Behind them, the station's evacuation continued, but ahead lay only silence and pulsing red warning signs. 15 minutes until core breach, the station's AI announced pleasantly. Please ensure all personal belongings are secured before evacuation. Ashley examined the security panel. Sealed with Council override codes, Santa's team did their homework. Then we make a new door. Kivex's acid glance extended. Wait. Ashley grabbed his arm, surprising them both with the casual contact. Look at the observation deck. Above the reactor chamber, faces pressed against reinforced windows. Station personnel, civilians, even a few council representatives, all watching. An audience. Kivex's mandibles clicked. They expect us to prove their fears correct. Ashley nodded. They're waiting for the violent Deathworlders to melt or smash their way in, causing more damage. We could explain. They wouldn't believe us. Ashley's eyes narrowed. But we can show them something else. You thinking what I'm thinking? Kivex studied the door mechanisms, the maintenance bypass systems, designed for emergency access without compromising containment. Exactly. I'll handle the electronic locks if you can reach the manual releases. Ashley grinned. Think those compound eyes can spot the access panel seams. Kivex's mandibles curved. Please, I can count your heartbeats from here. Still creepy. Ashley pulled tools from her belt, aware of the growing crowd above. Let's give them a show. They worked with practiced efficiency. Ashley's fingers danced across control panels, while Kivex's claws made precise adjustments to mechanical systems. No acid, no brute force. Just two apex predators demonstrating the problem-solving skills that had helped their species survive. Murmurs rippled through the observation deck. Ashley caught fragments of conversation. Not what I expected. Working together so smoothly. Perhaps we misjudged. The door's locking mechanism clicked. Ashley held her breath as status lights cycled from red to green. The massive barrier slid open with a soft hiss. Internal containment breach detected, the AI warned. Reactor core temperature exceeding safety parameters. They rushed inside. The reactor chamber was massive, its central core pulsing with dangerous energy. Warning indicators flashed across multiple stations. There, Kivex pointed with one claw. The control rods are misaligned. Deliberate sabotage. Can we fix it? The manual release requires simultaneous activation at 2 stations. The radiation levels. He hesitated. Even my natural armor has limits. Ashley checked the readings and swallowed hard. Right. So we'll both have minor radiation poisoning. Just another day at the office. Your humor timing needs work. But Kivex was already moving to 1 station. On my mark. The chamber's secondary doors exploded inward. Santos' remaining operatives poured through, weapons raised. Step away from the controls, their leader ordered. This station burns. The council will finally see the truth about Deathworlders. Ashley shared a look with Kivex. They'd come too far to fail now. Hey, she turned to the observation windows, raising her voice. Everyone up there. You want to see what Deathworlders really are. Kivex understood immediately. His voice boomed through the chamber. Watch closely. See what happens when the galaxy's most dangerous species choose to protect instead of destroy. Together, they turned their backs on the armed operatives. Ashley's hands found her control panel as Kivex's claws wrapped around his station's release mechanism. Above them, the crowd pressed closer to the windows. You'll both die, Santos' leader snarled. The radiation. 10 minutes to core breach, the AI interrupted cheerfully. Ready? Ashley asked her partner. Kivex's mandibles clicked once. Together. They had an audience to impress. And more importantly, a station to save. Radiation alarms screamed as Ashley and Kivex activated their control stations. The reactor core pulsed dangerously, casting wild shadows through the chamber. Behind them, weapons charged with a high-pitched whine. "Final warning," the operative leader called. "Step away, vor." The observation deck speakers crackled to life. An elderly council member's voice rang out. "Hold your fire. Let them work." Ashley's fingers flew across the controls, synchronizing with Kivex's movements. They'd learned each other's rhythms over the past few days, her quick, precise adjustments complementing his powerful, deliberate manipulations. "Control rod alignment at 30%, the AI announced. "Core temperature critical. 7 minutes to breach." Sweat dripped down Ashley's face as radiation levels climbed. Her skin tingled uncomfortably. "Kivex, you holding up?" "My exoskeleton provides some protection." His voice sounded strained. "But I admit, this ranks among my less pleasant experiences. Worse than that elevator ride." Kivex's mandibles clicked in what might have been a laugh. The elevator had better company. The reactor's warning tone shifted pitch. Ashley glanced at her readings and grinned. "Control rods at 60% alignment. We're actually going to." Multiple explosions rocked the chamber. Emergency blast shields slammed down over the observation windows. Through the chaos, Santos herself emerged from a maintenance tunnel, holding a deadly-looking device. "Impressive teamwork," she sneered. "But this ends now." "That's a quantum destabilizer. One shot will destroy the core instantly." "You'll kill everyone on the station," Kivex growled. "Including yourself. A necessary sacrifice to prove the danger you represent." Santos raised the weapon. "Step away from the controls. Both of you." Ashley's mind raced. They couldn't abandon the control stations. The alignment would fail, but Santos had them dead to rights. Then she noticed something. Kivex's acid glands were extending, ever so slightly. "The problem with you fanatics," Ashley said, keeping Santos' attention, "is that you never really understand us Deathworlders." "I understand perfectly," Santos spat. "You're too dangerous to exist." "No," Kivex rumbled. "She means you never study our hunting techniques." His acid spray shot upward, striking a coolant pipe above Santos. Steam burst forth, momentarily blinding her. Ashley was already moving, crossing the space between them with the explosive speed that had helped humans run down prey for millennia. Santos managed one shot. The quantum destabilizer's beam grazed Ashley's shoulder, sending waves of agony through her arm. But momentum carried her forward, and years of combat training took over. She slammed into Santos, sending them both crashing to the ground. The destabilizer skittered across the floor. Santos' remaining operatives rushed forward, but Kivex was faster. His armored bulk cut them off, acid glands fully extended. 4 minutes to core breach, the AI reminded them pleasantly. Ashley pinned Santos with her good arm. "Kivex, the controls. But you're injured." "I can hold the alignment." Ashley gritted through the pain. "Trust me." Kivex hesitated for just a moment, then nodded. He rushed back to his station, leaving Ashley to face Santos and her team alone. "You're proving my point," Santos laughed through bloody teeth. "Look at you. Violence is your first response." "No." Ashley tightened her grip. "Survival is our first response. Protection is our first response. Violence?" She smiled grimly. "That's just a tool we use when people like you force our hand." The reactor's pitch changed again. Kivex called out, "Control rod alignment at 80%. Ashley, I need that synchronization." Ashley somehow managed to draw her sidearm, keeping it trained on Santos and her team. Nobody moves. Kivex, ready for emergency protocols. Always. Working one-handed, fighting through the burning pain in her shoulder, Ashley reached for her control panel. Above them, the blast shields began to retract. The observation deck was full now, every face pressed against the windows. Time to show the galaxy what Deathworlders could really do. The council chamber buzzed with nervous energy as Ashley and Kivex stood before the assembled representatives. 2 weeks had passed since the reactor incident, and the station's gossip mills had worked overtime. The headlines wrote themselves. Deathworlders save station. Unlikely heroes prevent disaster. Human-Chronaxian partnership stops terrorist plot. Ashley's shoulder still ached from the quantum destabilizer, and Kivex's normally glossy exoskeleton showed patches of dullness from radiation exposure. But they stood tall, shoulder to Chidna's shoulder, as the council chief spoke. "The evidence is conclusive," she announced. "Lieutenant Santos and her conspirators worked to manipulate our fears of Deathworld species. Their plot to destroy this station would have succeeded if not for the actions of Lieutenant Commander Mitchell and Combat Specialist Kvex." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Ashley caught fragments of conversation very different from what they'd heard 2 weeks ago. Displayed remarkable restraint. Chose to save lives despite personal risk. Working together effectively. The chief continued. However, their actions also proved something else. Something many of us feared. She paused dramatically. Deathworlders working together are indeed incredibly dangerous. Ashley tensed. Kivex's acid glands extended slightly. But the chief smiled. Dangerous does not mean destructive. You turned that danger toward protection, toward saving lives. You proved that the very traits we feared, your strength, your adaptability, your fierce determination, can be powerful forces for good. Kivex's mandibles clicked softly. We nearly did what our worlds taught us to do. Survive, adapt, protect our territory and those within it. And that territory now includes this station, Ashley added. All of its inhabitants, not just humans or Chronaxians. The chief nodded approvingly, which is why the council has reached a decision. We are establishing a new joint security force, combining the unique abilities of both your species. You two will lead it. The chamber erupted in excited chatter. Ashley glanced at Kivex, seeing her own surprise mirrored in his compound eyes. There are still threats out there, the chief continued once the noise died down. Santos' group had deeper connections than we initially believed. Some of her co-conspirators escaped, but perhaps that's fitting. Her expression turned thoughtful. The galaxy feared what would happen when Deathworlders joined forces. Now those who would threaten peace will learn to fear it too. Later, walking through the station's corridors, Ashley and Kivex found themselves the center of attention for very different reasons than before. Civilians nodded respectfully. Children pointed in excitement. Someone had even painted a mural showing the human and Chronaxian standing together protectively over the station. This will take some getting used to, Kivex rumbled. The fame. Or working together officially. Both. His mandibles curved. Though I admit, having a human partner has proven less unpleasant than expected. High praise. Ashley grinned. You know, back on Earth, we had a saying. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Curious. On Chronax, we say those who hunt together, trust together. Kivex paused at a viewport, gazing at the stars. Perhaps our worlds were not so different after all. Ashley joined him at the window. Maybe that's what everyone else was afraid of. Not just that we're dangerous alone, but that we'd figure out how much we have in common. Their reflections stood stark against the cosmic backdrop. The human and the Chronaxian, the soft-skinned endurance predator and the armored acid wielder. Different in so many ways, yet united by the challenges that had forged them. Ready to hunt some conspirators? Ashley asked. Kivex's acid glands extended fully, catching the starlight. Always. But this time, we do it our way. Together, Ashley nodded. Let's show the galaxy what Deathworlders can really do. As they walked toward their new joint command center, both warriors smiled in their own ways. The galaxy had feared what would happen when Deathworlders teamed up. They were right to be afraid, but not for the reasons they thought.